How's it going, Ned? My name's Mikey Mouse.
Did you just get back from Disney World this week?
Get out of here, Mikey. Hey, so what's up? It's Russell.
It's Rusty.
How's it going, y'all? I did. I got back from Disney, and I'm drinking from my Walt Disney souvenir mug that my dad got me. And man, it is so dang expensive down there. It was amazing, and it was so magical how much I waited in lines for rides. But
the wonder of waiting. Hey, that's the wonder of patience.
Patience. Yeah. There you go. Way to loop it in. Y'all, this is Never Ending Adventure, an Adventure Time podcast where me and Ned are slowly going through Adventure Time, one episode at a time. And I've never seen it. Ned loves it. And y'all know the drill. But we're back.
You know about it, man.
Yeah. Y'all, never mind. I was trying to do a finism or something like that, but I couldn't think of it off the head.
Oh, it's all good, man. No. Yeah, but this is this season 2. We are in episode 18. Susan Strong. Introduction to Susan Strong, which
this is good
in the lore, in the canon. Like this is a big moment here.
I'm rather excited to talk about this episode. I don't really know anything about Susan Strong. I'm happy that very little has been spoiled for me about Susan Strong, but I'm excited to see and learn a little bit more about her. I'm sure we'll discuss some things this week that might lead me to discover things I don't know. And that'll be really fun.
Yeah, I'm having to walk on eggshells around some spoilers here, so I'm going to be very careful, like talking anything big picture Susan Strong for sure.
Let's kick it off. She's got hair. It's blonde hair, right? Is she related to Finn? Do we know this? What's up with that?
Am
I just being crazy?
No, I think they definitely gave her the blonde hair and blue outfit on purpose to really just get the crowd questioning. So for anybody out there who's watching it the first time, you're just like, oh, like potential human. Oh, like same hair and same like she's got a cat on her head instead of like a bear,
The ending is so good. I love how they handled that. I mean, I think I have it written down. So at the very end, we're just skipping to the end, but essentially Finn goes, Jay, do you think she was human or just another wild animal? And then Jay says, we are all wild animals, brother. And then Finn says, yeah, I guess we are. And there's just something about that is just like perfect. She looks back. It's like very like, do I go with my tribe or do I stay with this person that might be like me? Kind of a feeling. She doesn't reveal who she is or take the hat off. Is she a fish person? Is she not? She's probably not because she's, I've looked at Wikipedia. It says human on it. So
So like, I mean, you could have been on TikTok, Instagram, and like anything is going to be spoiled at this point,
But people love Susan. It seems like people like unanimously are really about Susan Strong from what I can tell.
Yeah, she's got, just incredible character development, one. So like, first of all, we see development in this episode that her learning curve is just so quick. She goes from being scared of grass to obviously having a sit down with Princess Bubblegum in the Candy Kingdom. And Princess Bubblegum, she's got her guards up. All the time. She's got her scientific guards up. She's really nervous about it. And they end
intellectual, if you will.
Yeah. And they end this dinner with her being like, great to meet you, Susan. I'll see you later. And I was like, whoa. So she's like, she's gone straight from like barbaric to being able to sit down in the presence of royalty and conduct herself,
It could be PB being like, oh, you're so fascinating because you're so primitive or whatever. But I think what you're saying is kind of more what it actually was, where it's like she improved enough to where like, look at this potential other human. And it's not like a weird situation. Obviously she still has certain instincts where she's like, candy, I'm obsessed. I need it. Give me, the Peppermint Butler, who we just saw how crazy Peppermint Butler is. And in this episode, he's just like another one of the people in the town, like no big deal. Peppermint Butler's here.
He can't always be evil, right? He's got to be a little bit candy sweet.
Yeah. He doesn't really do anything this episode, but it was really interesting. And it does play in a little bit of that theme of nature versus nurture, where we see two humans, Finn and Susan Strong, and they obviously had very different upbringings.
Yeah.
And Susan Strong, she's plenty smart, as you said. She's plenty capable of learning very quickly. And she grew up in a secluded, primitive way of living, in the bottom of that, like, kind of like a bunker, in a sense.
Yeah, I got a couple of. I mean, you touched on like two topics here that I have as very interesting topics for this episode, and one is that we'll start with the bunker there. It's this hatch in the middle of the taffy forest that's been cut down by Uncle Gumbald. Again, no spoilers.
How's no one seen this before? It's right there.
That's
you
what
can
I said.
See Candy Kingdom from it. Like, it's ridiculous.
It's a big old metal hatch, and that underneath it is this entire city. And like, I kind of took a moment to like try to look in the background, and you see that there's like roads going over. There's buildings that have collapsed. There is also, I was like, oh, what if this was a city that was buried? But at the same time, if you look on like the stalactites and the stalagmites that are like connected, you can see like speakers attached to them as if it were like a public announcement speaker. So there was some sort of underground functioning society, which leads me to my theoretically speaking, this is a true city that was built as a nuclear bunker in the case of any sort of like mushroom war. And a big thing here in a theory that I read online was that this was a bunker that was potentially made for humans that was purposely meant to be left open or cracked open so that there was still some sort of testing and experimentation on what would slight exposure to like nuclear fallout mean. And that's why these might have been humans. And how this show spells it is HYOO, like humans. Oh. But that's why they're kind of like fish people, is that they like had these mutations to the where they could adapt to their environment.
So you think the theory is that those are actually human people? They're just interesting.
Yeah, that they had evolved and been there since, for whatever 1,000 years.
I like that. I like that a lot. I don't really have a theoretically speaking myself. I think I was more so just leaning toward she is going to be so much more smart and normal every time we see her from here on out.
Exactly.
If I have to have a theoretically speaking, that's what I would guess.
Yeah, and you're spot on, man.
She learns, yeah.
Yeah, that she gets out of there. She doesn't, you realize that she still kind of hangs out in like caves and stuff.
She's so curious. I bet she's wanting to know more now, because all she knew was what she lived in, her environment. But now she sees this outside world. Which also, and she could climb up. I don't know why anyone never climbed up the hatch, because there were
if she was
bars.
Scared of grass, there's a whole like fear of exploring your out. And actually, that leads me to my second kind of cool point of what you were mentioning, and it was actually that episode events here are similar to Plato's allegory of the cave, whereas essentially, Plato and Socrates were thinking of like scenarios, whatever philosophers do, but they were saying that this is like if you hypothetically, allegorically had a society of people chained to a wall, facing the wall in a cave, that over time their reality, they would only see the dancing shadows on the wall, which is another cool part of the episode where they have the shadows of the candy people on the wall. And that philosophy itself is when you break free of that chains and you start to realize that, hey, this reality I've built where I can identify people based on shadows, I only know shadows, is that philosophy is exploring the world outside of your own constructed reality and realizing that there's people and it's not just all the reality that you created for yourself.
Man, that was
kind of cool. They awesome. Had the shadow aspect, and then definitely like Susan Strong being like, this is the world, this is the real world.
And they used the shadow aspect as like a foreshadowing to how Finn was going to try and defeat her later on, which is not really related to what you just said, but certainly I thought that was interesting. For it to have a dual meaning is pretty incredible.
Yeah, I think it was like a play back to like Susan discovering the reality, but then the shadow aspect was like the candy people.
Yeah.
And their creepy shadows.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I guess just the lack of exposure to light. I mean, they must just have freaking like bat eyes or something at this point.
Yeah, her eyes like remain green through the episode. Did you know that?
I noticed some like weird. There was something going on with her eyes the whole time, especially like when they were at the campfire, and that might have just been when she was like so awed by Finn's song he was singing her, but I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I just noticed it. I would chalk it up to like your eyes adjusting, having to do like a long adjustment to light again.
Yeah, and I also, my other like thought was just how the unknown is so scary sometimes when you have never been there, you've never done that thing before, and that's why we see her being so terrified of all these random things that we take for granted as just like, oh, whatever,
Yeah,
but they did say grass blood, and that freaked me out a little bit. I was like, all right, well, it's not grass blood.
It's not grass blood.
Just grass stains, but
yeah, well, there was a great irony to that whole scene when she's scared of the grass and Finn's actually like, Susan, calm down, grass can't hurt you. And for a small spoiler drop that's not going to be too affecting of like you viewing the show, is it's just ironic because when Finn gets the grass sword, you're aware of the grass sword, that the grass sword, they have an incident with Susan and pretty much the grass sword almost ends up killing her. So it's really ironic that that grass actually does hurt her in the future.
Man, yeah. Maybe she was right. Maybe she should have been scared. We got a freaking sword made out of grass. Are you kidding me?
Maybe she was smart. Maybe she knew that there was this like, meta sword out there.
Gotta wear shoes. That's my takeaway. That's my lesson for this episode. Always wear shoes. Always be shoesing.
They live shoes and strong.
Shoes and strong. Oh my gosh! Someone get her some shoes.
Did she never wear shoes like through the rest of the show, man? Like it's so funny.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. I hope we remember that when we get back to Susan later on.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you if you noticed, because like this is it's the first introduction to other humans.
Yeah.
Like she's massive. She's super. I mean, like she's not just like strong. She's like massive. And I wanted to get your thoughts.
She breaks a boulder, dude.
That. Yeah.
A weak level enemy, but I guess that's a rock. She destroys a whole boulder. That must be a slightly stronger level enemy.
So did that not like cue you up to think, is she or is she not human?
No, it certainly made me interested. I mean, maybe that's her mutation from, she got lucky. She didn't turn into a fish. She turned into
that's a good really strong though.
Boss. But no, I liked her a lot. She's my tops for the episode.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Susan Strong is my tops. Yeah, she's a gentle giant. She's like a big child learning so fast. She has her own language, which, do we know what that language is, or is that just...
I thought I was going to stumble across something if it was like a mix mash of English with something. I think it's just kind of like broken English sounding noises,
Yeah. Okay. Well, she's great, man. I don't have any real deep thoughts about her other than what we've already talked about or discussed.
Yeah, and
she's definitely my like almost my lovely, but not my lovely.
Yeah, and not my lovely either of this episode. I think she will be in the future at some point.
Yeah,
but I had a couple of moments of tops in this episode. One was when Finn was like on the Jake couch and he was like, he pats it and he's like,
"Oh,
come on."
It's so cute.
It's so cute.
it's so gentle. Like,
yeah, and he's so
it's like
sweet
he's reading and empathizing, with her and who she is, and he's like understanding, like, oh, I have to be careful. It's just like when you see those videos of like dogs meeting the baby for the first time, and it could be a wild dog, but then they're like, oh, this is my human, and they're just so like calm and like you're part of the wolf pack, and I love that. I love that.
And I have another like deep thought, kind of more along Finn's line of thinking here, and like why he behaves the way he does, but. We'll get into that in the second half over here. But second tops was just the Susan Strong song by The Fireplace.
Interesting. Over Finn's song?
Yeah. This one, like Susan Strong song. Yeah, but the one that Finn sings.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like I really enjoy when Adventure Time, they have all like musical aspects thrown in the show all the time, but when they really shell out and do like a song that rhymes and flows and is like harmonious, it's just a great song.
Are you sad that I'm not singing this episode?
No.
Probably not. I didn't plan a song.
Man. Then we need Michael in here if we start singing.
Finn got me, man. Freaking Finn goes, Susan Strong, you turned my heart on. And I was like, maybe that one part we could do without. I don't know if I like that phrasing.
This is how we're probably going to kick off the second half. Just Finn in general in this episode. I have a lot of thoughts on Finn and his development in this episode. Outside, we are focused on Susan's development, but there's a lot of Finn stuff going on, and we're going to dive deep into that. But before that, last tops of the episode was Starchy. Starchy's a Beelzebub.
No, Starchy is adorable, man. I love Starchy.
There's a good dark side to Starchy coming up in the future, so you can see like dark side.
He's a freaking devil here.
He's a devil. He's a grave digger. Like he's a dark character, man.
Is he really? This episode, also I think I theorized in the first episode that he was a cannibal as well. But man, and this episode and in the next episode, because we're going to record that today as well if we can. But I'm like, man, I am just like so gullible with this show because I just don't know what to expect sometimes. And how sometimes I'm just like, I'm just so dumb. But freaking, I had to look up what a Beelzebub was. I was like, what is that? I mean, obviously he's dressed up like a devil, but fascinating. I had to do some really idiotic Google searching.
I Googled it. I was like, I know it's like a devil, and then I Google searched it, and I was like, yeah, it was a devil, basically.
Just quick confirmation, but I was like, that's just not a word you hear very often. Really good. There's a word of the day, which isn't really a segment here. That's my word of the day.
That's a good word of the day, though. It'll be used in future conversations.
Yeah, I hope so. And so will shoes and strong.
Shoes and strong.
So good. Oh, but man. We open up with PB has a parasite. Did you see that?
Yeah, and even in next week's episode, there's another science parasite in that episode. And like, so I didn't realize how much they really threw it into season 2, that there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Because we had
and her hair's
Dr.
Princess. She's pretty great this episode.
Yeah. You see a little bit more of the cheesy side of PB. And then when she's like, we're going to defeat this enemy, she's not so evil. She has all the cute candy.
Blue.
Yeah.
Blue. Dude, she was almost my lovely. I'm sorry. I couldn't do it. All right.
You've been flirting around the idea. Well, who is your lovely?
I couldn't do it. I almost made her my lovely, and I was just like, I can't do that to my listeners, to the fellow travelers that we have.
Yeah.
No, my lovely is the Marshmallow Kids.
Give me some sugar, baby.
Yes, that was mine.
Yeah, dude. They never run from a scrap, man. They're just so freaking awesome.
And you think that is a insanely powerful power move, like light yourself on fire, and run out there.
Planned? Was that planned?
It wasn't planned.
Did Jake just do that?
I think Jake didn't even mean to do that, but they run out there and catch all the humans on fire.
Well, they foreshadowed that as well at the campfire when they were eating marshmallows, and then and they were roasting them, and so I love that came back. Such a small random thing came back.
Well, it was
how they defeated the fish people.
It was I was going to say it was a thing that came back just because it was showing that Susan's experiences have made her not afraid of things, like not afraid of flaming marshmallows, and like that the world is not necessarily a scary place anymore.
But they end up being gooey for a while.
Yeah, that was like best line of the episode was like, it's okay, we'll be gooey for a while.
Well, they're paying the ultimate sacrifice. If you ask me, like, what they're doing is they're shedding off an outer layer. They're not growing that back. They're marshmallows.
They just get smaller and smaller.
Smaller and smaller until they die, man. And they really paid the ultimate sacrifice to protect the Candy Kingdom. And they're my lovely. They're great.
They are great. I have to say, like, just even voice acting, their actions, and just the sheer group power, force of will. Like, we're going into battle, guys, and they all just are gung ho for it. I love it. Second place, lovely. Not a great, but marshmallow loving beaver was my second lovely.
Very good.
Yeah,
great, lovely.
I was like, oh man, I want more of that character. And that's how I just knew it was my lovely. Or second lovely, second place.
It seems like the marshmallow people have been caught on fire before, because they're pretty nonchalant about oh yeah, don't worry about it. Like, we're good.
Maybe that was PB's secret science torture experiments. Was like, how did these marshmallow people stay alive if we catch them on fire?
Can never make her my lovely now, Ned. Never.
All ulterior motives with her, man.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see, man.
Yeah. Well, let's take a little break. Got a good advertisement for you.
let's get back into the advertisements, huh?
All right, let's go.
All right, see y'all.
Oh boy, welcome fellow travelers. My name is Mikey Mouse, and I'm here courtesy of the Bubblegum Lab Co. They got me promoting these dumbass 100% real animal hats these humans be wearing these days. They call them all kinds of animals. And it says here that some of the fan favorites are Doofy, Bluto, and Ronald Duck. Oh boy. Wait a second now. Now just wait one fucking second. They look like all of my friends. Well, what the fuck is going on here, Ned? You tricked me. I thought we were friends.
Oh boy. What is up, Nettie Pooh?
What's up, Nettie? The new Mikey Mouse character. I don't know. I'm tired of not being as explicit, so maybe it's good to be a little bit more explicit.
He's just our buddy. He's just Mikey Mouse. He's
hanging out in the corner, man.
Yeah, man. He's over here. He's he came down here. I know he's he's helping you out, keeping me fed and clothed and hydrated in your basement right now, I think. Actually, I don't know. Am I out of the basement? I'm not sure. I don't remember.
That's up to you.
Yeah, I guess that is up to me. We'll dive back into the canon of this podcast a little bit later on. But for now, I need to know, Ned, when you're at a campfire and you're hanging out with Shoes and Strong, what is your go-to marshmallow strats?
All right, I got two different strategies for two different scenarios.
Love it.
First scenario is when I'm actually going for like the perfect s'more. Like you want the perfect mush. And I'm a golden brown. Like, let's get the insides gooey. Outsides of the marshmallow actually don't matter. So that's a long, like, roast slowly over the fire. Maybe not even brown it up, but get it super gooey.
You're putting the cracker and the chocolate over the fire for a minute as well, right?
Yeah, you set it down on the edge of the fire, get the chocolate a little melty.
Yeah, not too melty, but you don't want to be chopping into a full on, candy bar.
Yeah, exactly. But then on the flip side, if you got like especially the super jumbo marshmallows, if you've seen those, they're like 2 inches in diameter.
Oh yeah,
I'm a big advocate for like burn, peel, eat. Like I love that, but that's only when I'm strictly just eating the marshmallows.
Yeah, you get it. I'm with you on that, man. I mean, for a long time I was anti-fire. I was of the mindset of if it catches on fire, you've done too much. But I think I just enjoy blowing the marshmallow out and then being like, peel it off or even just eat it whole then.
Yeah.
But like crisp the outside a little bit. Like I don't want to be brown, all brown, but like I love that golden brown that you can get sometimes.
Yeah, if you're eating a whole marshmallow, then get it golden brown and eat the whole marshmallow. If you got the jump and you're going with the layers, you get a good melty inside, so the peel comes off real nice, and then you can just do that 3 or 4 times.
I'm only like a 2 or 3 marshmallow man. Like I can't
you can't eat more than that. No. I'm with you. It's like
maybe.
Yeah, no. Now it's like how you get 2 in you, and you're like, oh, it's a little sweet. I'm that way with s'mores. I'm like a one and done s'mores guy too.
No doubt.
Yeah.
It's definitely not like I gotta have it when I'm around a fire, but when you do, it definitely sets a mood, and like it almost is a way to remember the moment. Anyway, we're way off topic.
Yeah, and I'm a big advocate for Reese's Cups instead of Hershey bars. Yeah, big advocate for that.
I gotta try that. Also, I never thought about doing dark chocolate. Everybody always does milk chocolate.
Well, dark chocolate doesn't melt as well as milk chocolate does. That's why. But yeah, do a Hershey's cup, like a Hershey's peanut butter or Reese's peanut butter cup, and then it also grabs the marshmallow a little bit better because it just like it kind of sits right down on the circular surface there.
You got some marshmallow in my chocolate.
Got some peanut butter. You got chocolate in my peanut butter. I'm Officer Reese's. That's a Family Guy reference for you guys.
Yeah. One of few.
Speaking
I'm not a big Family Guy guy.
I had to throw out, because it's just a great Cartoon Network reference in this one, that when Susan eats the marshmallow for the first time and she goes obsessed over sugar, I couldn't help but that reminding me of the sugar episode of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
Why is that so familiar? I can't.
Yeah, they have the house party, and Mac he's like, no, Blue, I don't want sugar. Gets 1 drop of like sugar-filled punch on his tongue, takes his clothes off, and then just starts going crazy.
That's awesome. Is it like another one of those like metaphors for being drunk at a party sort of a thing? That
yeah, it's kind of the
cartoons?
metaphor for childhood drunkenness is like the sugar high.
Sugar high, yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Man, I've been thinking about going back and rewatching Foster's Home a little bit.
Oh man, that could be a great podcast on its own too.
It could be. I've been doing Hey Arnold. I gotta say, the music for Hey Arnold is unreal. Like I love that jazzy whatever is happening, because it's not straight jazz, but it's definitely like a funky jazz. It's great. It's great.
Yeah. But not as good as the Susan Strong song, right?
Yeah, the Susan Strong that she sings, the one that is so, yeah, real good,
man. Well, I do have. We talked so much about Susan's development. We talked about the situation with her being.
Did we do Jake mistakes?
Making bacon pancakes.
The Jake mistake is he completely just sits background for like this entire episode. And it's fine when Finn is doing his learning. Jake is seeing that Finn's developing. Obviously, he gets really sad when you bring up humans. And I think even when the humans are attacking, he's letting the candy people just defend their own kingdom. He's not just going out there like smashing all the humans up.
Yeah. I think my Jake mistake was he didn't rule them like gods, like angry gods.
Angry gods.
That's my Jake mistake. He missed out on a great opportunity to be a fascist ruler, just like Princess Bubblegum.
Yeah, he could have stayed down in the underground vault while Finn went up with Susan, and then Jake ruled them like an angry god.
I think Jake's probably had a lot of opportunities to do that in his life, and I just wonder, like, what other people he may have ruled as an angry god in his past life. I don't know.
Or he's getting too much influence from Princess Bubblegum.
Maybe so. Hanging out too much.
He desires to be the angry ruler of a kingdom and godlike at the same time.
It's so good.
It is really good.
Well, yeah, I didn't notice that. He really did take a backseat this episode, other than blowing the fire onto the marshmallow kids. People. Yeah.
Well, and we bring up the Jake mistakes typically when we're like Jake's OP and we're going through a issue, like a bunch of weird humans like coming to attack us, and he could have just been like, like,
may not have been real Jake mistake this episode, but certainly he just didn't.
I think that Jake's not mantra, but like the way he goes about issues and stuff is he does wait strategically until the last moment to intervene. And I think it's a lot, and especially from the Finn side of things, he's there, like we've talked about before, for Finn, like learning lessons. And he really wants like to not just be Finn's like out, that Finn needs to solve these problems for his development.
I feel like there's got to be something from Sun Tzu's Art of War, that Jake must have read at some point in his life. I don't know.
Yeah.
He seems to really have a good mindset for like when he needs to step in.
That's very true. And that like, because he's more OP than, 70% of other Adventure Time entities out there,
True. Well, outside of incremental time, where are we going next?
Incremental time. Learning in increments.
Almost my tops for this episode.
I know. I had it as a list first, but then I was like, oh, there's so much better stuff in that one. I just love when they flash like the sword title card. It's
growing on me a lot. It is.
I remember they did it first time in the first episode, and you were like, I thought it was funny, but I thought it was kind of weird,
Yeah, well, the one that I just love, the video game episode where it was like green and like an alternative art. That was, I think, one of my favorites. But anyway,
there's some really good alt art episodes in the show, and there's like one or two that I absolutely hate the artwork. There's a couple that are just like trippy. Yeah, we'll get to those. We'll discuss them.
We digress. A blue.
A blue. Now I did pull out just. It's my lesson, it's my deep thoughts, it's everything that is beneath the surface level of this episode is Finn's development. And it's the fact that this is the last episode before he turns 13. We have Mystery Train next week, and it's his birthday, which we realize he's transitioning from 12 to 13. Huge point in your life. 13 is typically the point where you're like, you're a man, you are at least a teen. You're not considered a child anymore.
Your mind is wiped, and you're no longer part of the Codename Kids Next Door. Like there's a lot that happens there.
Yeah, and I see that with Finn in this episode. Is that we've seen him growing up, liking girls, wanting to impress Princess Bubblegum, but we start this episode off in just when he brings up like humans in front of Princess Bubblegum brings up humans, and Finn's like, I kind of get, like sad when and you see Jake's face get really nervous. Like he's seen Finn been triggered by this. And I think Finn does a great job of being, pretty much grounded, pretty much okay with the universe he lives in, but there is something in him missing. So the first aspect of this is the 12 going on 13, and Susan Strong artistically I'm just going to say it, like huge legs and big boobs, and it was a very interesting decision, I think, for the artists to go this way. Not only that it's just like the most sexualized character at this point, but
is it?
That,
I guess.
I mean, there's Marcy and there's PB, but everybody's kind of got, very.
She just seems so strong. She didn't strike me too much as like sexy. She's not my sexy character of the episode.
I wasn't say like, not like, oh yeah, Susan Strong's so sexy. It's more like it's just sexualized, like the prominent features, and that's not been drawn in to Adventure Time yet. And I think that they do it to a point where they're saying that like Finn is young and developing, and that humans still have like their characteristics about them, and I think that there had to have been some bit of Finn as a 12 going on 13-year-old where it was intriguing to him. He's never like seen another human, you know.
Yeah.
So that had to be like, and they didn't like go on this in the episode. I'm thinking this is all like hypothetical.
And there's no like weird sexual tension between them necessarily that we are observing. I mean, even when I made my joke about you turn my heart on, it's not like he's like turned on by her that we know of,
No, not. And they do a good job. And that kind of leads into my second point is when Finn is so enamored with her and he gets the bright eyes and stuff. I think it's not sexualized. It's just actually this lack of human connection. And I wanted to dig into that a little bit more. So I found an article from Psychology Today, kind of about lack of, interaction. And there was a lot of stuff online that, was just more about like human connection, like just personal connection. I was like, Finn gets a lot of that. Finn gets a lot of, he's got his best friends. He's got, the hero mentality. He gets a lot of, extroverted connections, but there is something from this article in Psychology Today that's called the self-expansion opportunity. So according to this theory, there's one benefit of relationships that we can gain new knowledge and experiences by spending time with someone else. But even though a dissimilar person would be more than likely to actually provide new knowledge and experience, provide perspectives, research has shown that people are more likely to see self-expansion opportunities when interacting with someone who is similar rather than dissimilar to them. So, although, Susan Strong can't even speak English, like she's like basically a wild animal at this point, Finn sees this opportunity for self-exploration, self-expansion within himself that he hasn't had with any other reaction, any other relationship in OO. And I just had to spend a moment like that. I was like, what would you do if you had never seen another human in your life? Like what would you be excited? Would you be scared?
Well, we see the toll that's taken on him a little bit in this episode because it's never really brought up. I think we've talked about, and I think in other episodes they've talked about the lack of humans or how he's the only human or something. And I could be wrong, but it's the first time we see him get, as he says, soul-searchy and weird, and he clearly is missing something. And so, as you're saying, like he identifies this could be the only other human I've ever met in my life outside of, my parents, which I don't remember because I was way too young. And this is an opportunity to learn about myself because, and I could be just repeating what you just said in a sense, but yeah, I mean, it's like I've never done this before or been in this situation where I had an opportunity to ask someone who is like me about us and about like how you work, how I work or whatever, because clearly the rules of OO for what, is life or what is not life or what is living or animated or has aspirations, as we saw in this episode, like meaning like if it's got aspirations, you can't kill it, you can't eat it, or whatever.
If it's
like
sentient, the sentience of these beings, and that's why I was like, Finn has no.
But they all work so different. You know?
And it's so like he has gotten the development on the side of where most of us fall short is we don't know enough or have enough interaction with people who are different from us and grow our perspective. And that Finn has, that's the only thing he has is from every kingdom, different types of different types of problems. We got Choose Goose, we got Candy Kingdom, we've got hot dog people, we've got, we've got everything he has to, especially because he's like trying to befriend everybody. He's got to have great perspective on, seeing people for who they really are.
Incredibly accepting, and open, which is great.
On the opposite side of us, like we tend to spend lots of time with people who have similar thoughts, that look similar to us, that have similar upbringings, and then we lack the enough perspective gaining, and that Finn's doing it backwards. He's like, oh my gosh, I have to figure out who I am as a human species because I've never had that experience before.
It is really interesting to think that he sees her and he connects instantly with her. Like the way that we psychologically connect with people or that look or seem similar to us or have a similar cultural background or whatever it is, like whether it's intentional or not, and it's not like a judgy way, but I do feel like there's definitely something innate within us that makes us want to connect with people that seem so similar to us just in general.
Exactly.
And again, it could play into the thing you were talking about with psychology, but certainly with Finn, I think it's just like, it just proves that like, or at least, I mean, this cartoon, but it seems to prove that like, there's like a deeper bond immediately between the two of them.
Yeah.
And we see an incredible bond with him and Jake, but it's so different. Yeah. With the language barrier, with all these barriers around them and their growth and their environments growing up, there's massive walls there that they have to tear down, but there's something connecting the two of them that allows them to get through those walls so quickly.
Yeah, and it has to be the fact that I would say when in the Susan Strong song that Finn sings, when the end of it, when he's like, "You turn my heart on," I was like, it could be looked at as like Finn has another crush, but when you really dive deep into it, it's Finn. It's like unlocking a new side of Finn, that he is no longer alone in this world as a human, that it has turned his heart on, and he has this new outlook maybe it's a hopeful outlook, maybe it's a lack of being alone outlook, but I think that's why Finn is so enamored, and it all has to do with just like the human connection in my opinion.
It's interesting too, like all the princesses other than PB and Marceline are so like in love with Finn all the time and immediately. But we don't get that vibe from her. Like she's obviously very enamored by him. But again, I think it's that bond. I don't think it's at all like Susan is like, oh, I love Finn. Finn's so hot, or anything like that. I think it's just a matter of connection.
We can say Susan's is the opposite, that she's been around creatures that look like her, act like her, walk like her, but she's never had the self-expansion opportunity that is the perspective gaining one, that it is somebody who's like her in physical appearance, but again, nothing like her in the way she acts, and that she's getting more of the perspective gain out of this. Finn's getting the whole like, wow, I'm not alone, but she's getting the whole like, wow, there's so much in the world that I need to learn, and that's why she's so enamored with him.
And that's that hesitation, man, at the end of the episode. That's where that comes in, where she's just like, do I go back?
Comfortability or growth. Yeah.
That's so good.
I know. And I was like, oh, that's why, again, just the character development of Susan Strong, where we get her backstory in the Islands miniseries. It's just like, this is the first moment of a great new perspective and deepness behind the show is, we focus on Finn's growth all the time, but Susan Strong's story is so powerful at the same time too. It's great.
I'm really excited for it. I'm here for this journey. I'm here to see what happens with Susan Strong. I'm excited for that.
I'm super excited. But man, that's that's a lot of deep stuff right there. So I don't know what again.
Well, let's go light real fast. Let's go light real fast.
Light before we go to lessons.
We have never used this soundbite, and I keep forgetting to have DJ Cowboy Hat put the soundbite in. But I do have a sexy character of the episode.
I want to have your baby.
Wow.
All right. Well, that's not the soundbite, Ned. Hopefully, the soundbite was in there, and y'all heard the soundbite. It's something about wanting to have your baby. I
want to have your baby.
Yeah. There you go. But yeah, if we need a new one because we lost it, we've never used it. We've had it for weeks and weeks. But Susan Strong, when she plays the war horn, it's not Susan Strong. I said that. It's the just grass girl with the panda hat. She's my sexy character, and I'm pleading the fifth on why that is.
Okay.
But she's my sexy character of the episode.
I don't know. I think if I were to have one, it was Lost when they were all fish people.
Yeah, well, you leave the hat on. No,
you just leave a little bit of ambiguity in there.
Gotta have the hat on. It's before I knew she was a fish. Yeah. Anyways,
gut reaction,
the
sexy character.
Girl. Yeah, certainly. Well, and to what you were saying earlier about Susan Strong, like she is a developed human.
Yeah.
And that is the joke there, or the reason why.
And it comes to play too in the maturity aspect and this is not necessarily a spoiler drop. I know you've seen Fiona and Cake referenced. It's like I won't spoil anything about
I don't
their
really understand what
storyline.
It is.
I've read notes and I've even listened to podcasts where they talked about, she's supposed to be counterpart with Finn, but she also has more like developed features. But they said it was kind of the artist of the show saying, that girls mature quicker than guys. And honestly, all the stories with Fiona and Cake, Fiona is more mature than Finn, like even from a personality standpoint. She kind of makes more rationalized decisions, kind of talks a little bit less like a kid. And so I think that they just are making points about Finn's development, that he's only 13 and he's still young and he's like about to start going through puberty. And it's just kind of like that juxtaposing nature of Susan Strong and Fiona and Cake and stuff like that.
Are we far off from all of that stuff?
I don't think we're too far off. I know we get a Fiona and Cake coming up in season 3.
I'm very interested in all of that and how it plays in, because I have no clue, but I'm very interested.
Well, and the really fun part about Adventure Time is there's a lot that's left ambiguous on purpose. And they give some explanation to Fiona and Cake. They give you little tidbits to go off of to have lots of theoretically speakings, how it ties into the universe. But there's never a, rock solid answer, which is, I think, just absolutely genius.
Cool. Well, Ned, what's your lesson for the episode?
Oh, man, I'd say, end of the episode brought it home with my first lesson. Like, we're all wild animals, brother. And I thought that was just so genius in terms of, we referenced it early in the episode with like, these are just wild animals. But then also at the same time being like, Jake and Finn's perspective on the world is just like, we're all the same, man, and I love that. And then my second one was that human connection is inherently something we crave and we're always on a philosophical hunt for. And we really want to find those relationships with people, connections with people that are similar to us, but also we need to find the ones that are different from us and that grow our perspective and we don't get sucked into that funnel of like one track mindedness. I don't know. That's very wordy lesson, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's a great lesson. Mine is much more silly.
All right, good.
It's I didn't have any silly ones. It's just kind of me apologizing for my almost lovely this episode. My lesson is don't ever let a potential fascist be your lovely. Yeah. Don't ever let Princess Bubblegum be your lovely for the episode. That's my lesson. That's what I learned.
That's a very good lesson.
She'll never be, well, I can't promise that. She might be one day, but I'm going to try my best not to fall for the Princess Bubblegum charm. Other than sexy characters, she can be that if she needs to. But
she's got some redeeming episodes in the future where she actually self-reflects that she's not perfect. And that's a little bit more like lovely Princess Bubblegum coming up.
Yeah. All right.
But
we'll see. We'll see when we get there.
Tell us where we can find us.
Yeah. Well, first off, thank y'all so much for listening. Another great episode. I really enjoyed. I knew this was going to be a good one, and I just loved talking about Susan Strong for a bit and hearing Ned's, some deep thoughts, some deep research you did on this episode. That was really cool.
Yeah, it was a fun one to research.
Yeah, I'm sure, man, and I'm still like trying to figure out that balance between like, do I research things that I don't really know if they even apply to Adventure Time? And spend that time, or how do I go about this? But I think, I like the aspects of you bringing something if it makes sense. Or, how we had Allie on, and Allie talked about, is that before or after this episode?
That was before this episode. Yeah.
And so have Allie come on and talk about Greek mythology. That was really cool, so. But yeah, we love all of you guys. Thank you so much for traveling with us on this awesome adventure of podcasting and community growth. And listen in if you can. Go on to Apple Podcasts, even if you don't listen there, and write a review, leave a rating. It helps us so much with our SEO, trying to get up there, and hopefully be the biggest Adventure Time podcast one day.
Yeah. We want to be brought in by Cartoon Network for some sort of great special Adventure Time review. Love it.
That would be crazy. You can also check us out on Instagram at Never Ending Adventure Podcast, TikTok at Never Ending Adventure Cast, Twitter at NEA_podcast, and email us your thoughts, your opinions, whatever, at NEA.travelerslog@gmail.com. And also check us out on YouTube. Ned, I almost forgot, and I do feel bad because I totally promised this person we would talk about this. It wasn't through the email. Sorry, I'm doing this on the fly. I am looking up a message that we were sent about Susan Strong a little while ago.
Nice.
If it'll pop up somewhere in my photos, did I not screenshot it? Man, we might have to take a break, and maybe I'll come back to it in our outro after you outro.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Yeah, we'll bring it up in the outro because this is any of y'all's thoughts on Susan Strong, like super canon characters. We want to hear it because I know we're getting deep, but every time somebody comments on something, I'm like, wow, that's great perspective, and I love all of y'all's perspective. So it has been great, guys. Apologies, I don't want to be canceled or ripped on for talking about sexuality and Adventure Time too. So I'm very cognizant of that, and I want you guys to all remember I'm doing it purely analytical, purely diving deep, and not trying to be offensive towards anybody either. So
Ned, I got it. Let's just do it.
Right,
we're here.
Let's do it.
So Finn T Human, which great name on Instagram.
Finn T Human.
He says, so about Susan Strong or this episode, he says, I always thought it really showed how different Adventure Time was from the other shows airing at the time. Like, not only did it show a part of Finn that wants to feel less alone, and but it also kind of shows how supportive Jake was in a weird way. Mm-hmm. Typically, I feel like we will still see best friends constantly fighting, but he kind of just always supports Finn. And I think that's a really good point. I mean, we really do see, this is me talking and not what Finn T Human said, but we really do see Jake kind of being like, man, like, I hate that you're the only human or whatever. Like, let me cheer you up. Like, throw me at a stump and I'll explode it out of the ground.
Let me cheer you up.
Yeah, and like he sees this opportunity for, Finn has met another human potentially. Like, I'll become a couch and raise y'all up, and like I'll play music for you while y'all bond over like, marshmallows and all that. Like, there's a lot there that Finn or Jake is playing in the background, but he is really just doing it so that Finn could grow and have this moment with this other human. And
yeah, absolutely,
it's a really good point. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Finn T Human. Keep sending things our way.
Yeah, please do. All right, y'all. Last thing I got to say, Ned, party forever.
Oh, we'd love to, you guys.